It is my privilege to welcome you to the 2017 Spring Arbor University Alumni Awards Banquet. My name is Steve Castle, and I have the honor of serving as SAU's Director of Alumni Relations. Spring Arbor University exists to pour into students who will go on to impact the world for Christ in substantial ways. Tonight is a celebration and recognition of our alumni who embody what it is we desire to be. In a way, tonight is a chance to pause, remember, and be thankful. In our fast-paced world where we're always on to the next thing, and we're often inundated with negative news, it's more important than ever to stop, remember, be thankful, and celebrate what God is doing in and through His people. Before moving forward this evening, I want to pause to acknowledge some special guests that are here with us this evening. No need to stand, you can remain seated. But those of you that are here from our Alumni Board of Directors, which are the people that actually chose this evening's recipients, current, former, and life Spring Arbor University Board of Trustee members, our future alumni, who are the current students that are here this evening, and members of our Student Alumni Council, and most importantly, of course, our award recipients and their families. In your program that's at your table this evening, you'll find a schedule for this evening. There will be a bio for each of our award recipients, a list of our current alumni board members, the criteria for each award that was given out this evening, and then in the back there's also an insert. Please take a moment this evening to fill out that insert and leave it on your table before you leave this evening. It's from the recommendations of people like you that are here this evening that we're able to identify and celebrate outstanding award recipients like we have here this evening. Immediately following the invocation, dinner will be served. Around 6:40, we'll begin the program. Our dinner this evening will include herb stuffed chicken, steamed red skin potatoes, Key West vegetable medley, and then ice cream for dessert. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Pastor Ryan Moline, the junior high pastor at Spring Arbor Free Methodist Church, to come up and pray for us. He's actually part of the alumni board and part of the awards committee that worked together about a year ago to start identifying tonight's recipients. So thank you, Ryan.
It's kind of a step down from Cassandra, who's in the program, so apologies. But would you join with me in prayer, because this is a lovely day and a lovely evening. God, we are just thankful that we get to participate in an evening like this, where we get to reconnect with people, meet new people, celebrate the work that you're doing in and around this community and all around the globe. And we are excited to hear the stories of transformation, hear the stories of success in your work and your movement. And thank you for a place like Spring Arbor and a place that we're able to just rejoice in. And bless this evening, bless this food under our bodies and the conversation around our tables. And we pray and ask these things in your name. Amen.
We've just enjoyed a wonderful meal, and we want to ask the Manor House staff, Sue Chapel and her staff, let's recognize them and thank them for the service that they've provided us. Thank you, Sue. My name is Doug Wilcoxon. I'm the Executive Vice President at Spring Arbor University. It's our pleasure to have you here tonight, part of this celebration. I want to introduce to you our president, Dr. Brent Ellis. Brent is someone who is a lover of God and exhibits that in all that he does. He is someone who loves his family well. He's someone who also is continuously being invited into leadership opportunities around the country to speak into issues of Christian higher education and religious freedom. And so would you join me tonight in welcoming our president, Dr. Brent Ellis.
Good evening. In my notes this morning it said very, very, very brief remarks. Because you're not here to hear necessarily about all the wonderful things that Spring Arbor University is involved with, but we're here to celebrate the men and the women who have gone out and are embodying our concept beautifully well. Particularly that last phrase of our concept, critical participants in the contemporary world. And really that is one of the things that continues to be a hallmark of Spring Arbor University. Outstanding academic preparation, coupled with a focus and a desire to help men and women be prepared to be ambassadors of Christ to this world. Ambassadors and messengers of redemption and reconciliation. And so we're excited to celebrate all of the individuals that we'll have time to commemorate and to hear a little bit from them what makes Spring Arbor University special. So thank you for being here tonight, and congratulations to all the award recipients. We're very proud of you, and it'll be a fun evening to celebrate with you. Doug?
I will be introducing the first three recipients. I can see that sun is a little bit of a problem here. Either that or you're really offended by me. No, nothing. I'm not taking it personally at all. But we will move into recognizing and honoring our recipients. And as Brent mentioned, our concept, our mission statement, through our concept has guided Spring Arbor University for over 50 years and is a foundational piece of expressing who we are as a university. And so in representing that, part of what we want to do to be able to honor the recipients tonight is to give them a token of appreciation that represents that aspect of the concept that talks about being critical participants in a contemporary world. And so each recipient will receive this gift. As we introduce and announce each recipient, they'll have an opportunity to share a few words. And the final two recipients then will be introduced by our president, Dr. Brent Ellis. And you can refer to your program, again, as Steve mentioned, about descriptions regarding the criteria for each award that's there, as well as the individuals themselves. Our first category is the Concept in Action Award. And this past April, the award was presented to Lindsey, Vander, Velich during SAU's Honor Chapter. And Lindsey lives out the SAU concept in dynamic ways. And as a student at SAU, she was heavily invested in Project LOT, which is the least of these, in spring break mission trips. She started a business called 315 Bakery, where she hopes to one day employ women who have been exploited because of their life circumstances in order to restore dignity and provide hope for their future. Since graduating this past May, Lindsey has moved to Temperance, Michigan, where she works for a nonprofit organization called the Pregnancy Center of Greater Toledo, helping expecting women choose life and ensure a safe pregnancy, as well as providing healing to women who have previously had an abortion. When opening up the nomination process to the students and faculty last year, the love, respect, and appreciation of the impact Lindsey has made on SAU was apparent through the numerous nominations she received. And in the words of just one nominee, Lindsey's love for Christ and her credibility, compassion, and creativity have been a gift to Spring Arbor University and the surrounding community, and will continue to be a gift to the world. Lindsey, we're honored to recognize you tonight. Please come forward to receive your gift.
Good evening. It's great to be here, and it's an honor to be accepting the Concept in Action Award for the 2017 graduating class. It's so great to be returning to a place that will always feel like a home to me, a place that holds so many memories. Whether it was plucking feathers off a chicken at Cedar Bend with people I barely even knew yet, winning the championship title of the annual Battle of the Baristas with my coffee-crazy partner, Mary Darling, cramming into the hallway with every single one of my Alpha 1 residents to pray, talk, and laugh every Wednesday night, or even taking one of my residents to the ER at 3 a.m. because she fell out of her lofted bed. It's here at Spring Arbor that I built some of the greatest friendships and memories and obtained some of the most significant knowledge, all of which will stick with me throughout the rest of my life. If I had to choose the one most significant thing that I learned during my time at SAU, I would narrow it down to this. Jesus Christ as my perspective for learning is the key to being a critical participant in the contemporary world. I don't say that to sound cliche as I'm accepting the Concept in Action Award, but this has been my experience both at SAU and outside of the SAU community. My time at SAU taught me to always be in the Word, practicing spiritual disciplines, engaging in the life around me, and being a critical participant. Right now, I find myself in the contemporary issues that the Lord is calling me to participate in. I find myself being called to the injustice of abortion as I manage the office at the Pregnancy Center of Greater Toledo, the injustice that an unborn baby faces by not being given the chance to live, and the injustice that women face from the world and even the church when they experience an unplanned pregnancy. It is my perspective of life and learning, being rooted in Jesus, that I'm able to navigate this injustice with immense grace, patience, and hope. I have my peers, my professors, and my mentors at SAU to thank for providing me not only the knowledge, but also opportunities and experiences daily to practice this. From practicing new spiritual disciplines and spiritual formation classes with Nathan Foster, to coming to understand the Lord's heart for justice in all of my classes and conversations with Mary Darling, to opening my mind and eyes to paying attention to opening my space to the stranger and becoming a person of hospitality thanks to Dr. Magnuson, and discovering the human need to spend time in contemplative prayer in order to discover the true self that God's calling one to be in prayer classes with Mojo. Because of my perspective for learning that I've learned at SAU, Jesus Christ is my perspective for learning is no longer a concept, but it's something that I choose to live out. It's not something that I just see on a brochure from SAU or on the website, but it's a lifestyle, and it's transformed the way that I think and live. I'm honored to be a Spring Arbor University alum, and I'm thankful and honored to be accepting this award this evening. Thank you.
Lindsey, that was beautiful. I'm glad that we have that on tape. Thank you for that expression. We're very proud of you. These next award recipients are ones that are special to me because of the impact and influence that they've had on my son's life as well. But this is a wonderful award that Spring Arbor University gives. And it's the Faithful Servant Award. The purpose of this award is to recognize alumni of Spring Arbor for faithful service in the community, their profession, and in ways that frequently go overlooked. This year's award goes to Wayne and Dottie Miller. Wayne and Dottie's commitment to ministry and education is outstanding. They've both taught in public school education for multiple years. Dottie served in many roles within the Free Methodist Church, including becoming ordained as the first children's pastor in the conference. Though now retired, they both continue to serve Christ and others through volunteer ministry at Spring Arbor Free Methodist Church. One friend shares, through their dedication and passion for education and ministry, they've touched thousands of lives, and I can attest to that. Please join me in congratulating the Millers, Wayne and Dottie. Please come forward.
I'm still here. President Ellis, honored guests, I want to thank you for this honor given to my wife and me. We're both surprised and humbled to have been considered for it. We were married back in 1965, and I look around here before some of you were born. I was in the Army and headed off to Vietnam, went to the war 10 days after we got married. Upon return, I knew I wanted to go to Spring Arbor College, but also needed to make my financial help, further education from the military, and make it stretch as far as it could. So I went to the office of Spring Arbor and talked with Ken Beardsley to find out what I could take at JCC and then transfer it right into Spring Arbor. And so he told me, and that's the process that we went through, and for a major in biology and education. After getting all the classes that I could there, I registered in Spring Arbor, found the campus warm and friendly, and impactful, not only in my education, but also my spiritual life. Not living on campus, being married and working part-time, I was into the education piece of it. I think I missed a lot of on-campus things. Dr. Eldon Whiteman and Anna Leatherman were pivotal in the development of, for me as a teacher in biology, and the curriculum that I developed for advanced biology in Leslie, where I taught for 31 years. One of the challenges was to develop a curriculum that was not based on evolution as a fact. That's hard to convince science teachers. While here, I read a study by Dr. Eldon Whiteman about water quality research in Augusta Stream. And I got to thinking about it while I was teaching, and as a result, I developed a water quality study for a creek in the Leslie area, and had research teams from my advanced biology class to do that. It's fun when you can trust kids in cars to go to a creek in all different locations, and I'm standing in the room and it's empty, they're gone. But then I go out and check on them and they're getting everything done, and did a wonderful job of it. They actually discovered the pollution problem before the newspaper did. And then the newspaper printed and said, look guys, you beat them at it. You found out what was going on before they did. As a result of that, one of my students had a summer job working for quality in water pollution, and also got a Teacher of the Year award as a result of that. Another outcome was to have the student, she did get a job in that, and was telling me about it afterwards. The Spring Arbor concept, lifelong learning and serving, came out in many different foreign trips that we've taken. We've served in a lot of different continents, doing mission work, from Amman, Jordan to a variety of places. One happened to be in Estonia, and we met a really nice young lady there, and he is here with us tonight. So we helped to, we told her Spring Arbor is a great place, you've got to come here. And she did, and you're going to hear her honors tonight. We did mission work there, and a wide variety of, I did a lot of building projects, working alongside of nationals, and I didn't know their language, they didn't know English, but we could work together, appreciate each other, and not talk, and get a lot done, and have a good time doing it. Some of you who've been in mission work, done that kind of a thing, you know what I'm talking about. The local evidence of this concept is through a group called Mafia. Think on it. Men of Faith in Action. And it's a group of guys at Spring Arbor Free Methodist Church. And this is just a bunch of guys, 2 or 3 of them are here tonight, and they are the most giving, hardworking, generous, gracious guys that I've ever had to work with in my life. They're just fantastic, and the things that they do. We meet weekly for spiritual growth, and then often other days of the week. We help people do repair work. We help them building projects. We help people move. We've worked with handicapped people who have ramps, need ramps. We would build them. We did 6 last year. Elderly people who don't have the strength to do repairs. We have those that are ill. We have single mothers. Just you name it, in our community, there are people that need help, and we are there to help them. No cost to it. Some people donate, some don't. Over 50% of those that we help are not familiar with our church. They hear about us by word of mouth. I want to thank you again very much, Spring Arbor University, how it's impacted my life and my wife and our family. And we have a daughter who attended in the 80s. She's here tonight. And 2 granddaughters who graduated the last 2 years. And their lives too have been impacted by this wonderful institution. Thanks again.
Hi, I want to talk too. We are just baffled and humbled by the fact that we got this award. This university has played a huge part in my life for many years. In fact, when I tell you who some of my teachers were, you're going to know. Like, I was here when that concept was written. So when I came, I was not reared in a Christian home, but I had found Christ 2 years before I came. And I knew very little about the Christian life, very little. I came as a shy, believe it or not, scared northern Michigan farm girl from Boyne City area. It's a long ways away. And I came at the encouragement of Ed and Ruth Chamberlain, whom I give great credit for my being a Christian. And they are relatives of Dot and Les Gibbs. I stayed with the Gibbses while I was here. And I hadn't had experience of living in a Christian home. So my experience with them was just a great value to me to know what it meant to live with Christ in my life as a family. In addition to the Gibbs family, here are some of the people that influenced me. You'll get a chuckle out of them. Matt McDonald, Rule Walter, Mr. Griswold, Esther Maddox, who's here tonight, Beth McDonald, and David McKenna, and many newfound friends. I loved being on the campus because everybody was so nice to each other. And that was new to me, and man, I ate it up. This was a place where I made lifelong friends, as everybody who's ever gone to college anywhere will tell you that. But I'll be forever grateful to this institution for the fact that I have friends, I have membership, a firm membership in the Free Methodist Church. I got my basics in living to please Jesus while I was here. 4 of us young women used to travel, we made a quartet, and we sang in different places. One of the places we liked to go was the Spanish Mission in Lansing. And we went there because Rule Walter, who was the Spanish teacher, encouraged us. He was in charge of the Foreign Missions Fellowship, and we went there to sing. And one night we were singing, I fixed it up, I forget the name of the song, I fixed it up with Jesus many years ago. And one of the girls who's here tonight sang 40 years ago, because that's what she learned it, and we were 17. So she said, fixed it up with Jesus 40 years ago, and we had to stifle a laugh. The girl who was going to speak behind us crossed her legs just at that time and kicked the gal that had said that, and we all just burst into laughter. We didn't go back there. But in our serving in that way, the Spring Arbor University had a great name. After junior college here, 4 of us went to Asbury College. That's where I got my bachelor's degree in elementary ed. And then between my junior and senior years in college, I went to Colombia, South America for the summer. And that's where I got my bug for missions. Spanish classes I'd taken here under Professor Rule Walter helped me a great deal. And then, of course, I learned a lot from them. In fact, we had some pretty funny experiences. One time we were riding on a train with a bunch of guys going from, one place to another. And piña is a word for pineapple. And I said to them, oh, the piña here is so much sweeter than the United States. And they looked at each other and laughed. And I said, what? And they said, why do you say it's sweeter? I said, why do you say it's better? I said, well, it's just sweeter. How do you know? Well, I've tasted it. In their language, that's a colloquium for kisses. So I told them the kisses were much sweeter there. So they helped me a lot in my language. After teaching public school for 24 years, I became the director of children's ministries for our denomination, where I served for 8 years. And my experience at Spring Arbor was tremendously instrumental in my ability to serve, to develop leaders across the nation and abroad. The Spring Arbor concept has certainly guided me in my decisions to serve both the denomination and for our local church in Spring Arbor, where I've ministered in children's ministries and hospitality for approximately 20 years. I've taught some Christian ed classes at the university as an adjunct professor. I have had several interns helping them experience some ministries, and many students have come over and helped us at the church in both hospitality and children's ministries, and they are delightful. The kids love them. I praise God that He saw fit to get me to Spring Arbor University, Spring Arbor College, junior college when I was here. And it began my journey as His servant in education, both public and Christian, in His enabling me to attain a master's and doctoral degrees in education, become ordained, to raise the level of children's ministry and making my leadership more effective. Spring Arbor University serves Christ in the global community through having given this Northern Michigan farm girl examples and guidance in a life given to Christ. Thank you.
I love this next award that's given because not only is the concept lived out around the globe, but also it's lived out through the employees of Spring Arbor University. And so the LeRoy M. Lowell Award, named after the late Spring Arbor president, recognizes excellence in service by a member of the Spring Arbor University faculty, staff, or administration, past or present. And this year's recipient is Bobby Pratt. Bobby has faithfully served our university in various capacities. He's worked within the admissions office, served as the resident director of Ormston Hall and Ogle Villages, and is currently the associate dean of students. During his 20 years at SAU, he's gone above and beyond, coaching the women's tennis team, leading spring break mission trips, teaching numerous classes, and leading cross-cultural trips to Guatemala and Ecuador. He is a beloved colleague, supervisor, and friend on campus, and in true Bobby Pratt fashion, he may be needing to leave tonight a few minutes early, as rather than going home on Friday night, he's overseeing tonight's Cougar Madness event that typically has nearly 1,000 students in attendance. Bobby is a true servant and culture shaper for the Spring Arbor University. As one colleague shared, Bobby has an obvious love for God that spills over into a generous love for our students and the larger community. It's an honor to award Bobby with this year's LeRoy M. Lowell Award.
I just want to start out just thank you to the Alumni Committee and everybody that serves that in that way. It is a great honor to be here, and thank you to friends and family that took some time out of their schedules to be here. And it's good to see a lot of familiar faces out there too. So here we go. I love to tell the story of unseen things above, of Jesus and His glory, in Jesus and His love. I love to tell the story because I know 'tis true. It satisfies my longings as nothing else can do. I love to tell the story, 'twill be my theme and glory, to tell the old story of Jesus and His love. I entered this world in Ann Arbor, Michigan, second born first, and 3 sisters later, eventually only son to parents that knew about God but didn't really know Him. Through circumstances I'm still a little fuzzy on, my parents became part of a movement called Word of God, and they surrendered their lives completely to Christ. At a meeting of this group, around the age of 5, through songs I did not know the words to, I feel God on the move for the first time. Our family eventually becomes part of a Free Methodist church plant in Chelsea, Michigan. And at a camp meeting at the age of 6, I kneeled in an altar and gave my life to God. And from that moment forward, I am forgiven and forever changed. Fast forward to my freshman year in high school. Missionaries come to church, and God is on the move again. The next summer, I find myself in Mexico for 6 weeks, traveling the country in an Airstream trailer and meeting olive-skinned people with little worldly possessions, a beautiful language, and a love for God that is contagious. For the next 3 summers, God sends me back to Mexico. My junior year in high school at youth group, I start to notice this somewhat quiet but mysterious girl with a crazy blonde haircut. She's sensitive and funny and kind. She loves God. 4 years later, we become one. We started amazing. Sorry about that. We start an amazing adventure together that keeps us on the edge of our seat and still doing so for 26 years and counting. We both graduate from Spring Arbor College. Why does that make me cry? I don't know. That should be a good thing, right? Okay. We graduated from college, but through some trials and tribulations, we find ourselves without direction. We're wandering in the desert for a while. We're separated from the body of Christ, but God never leaves us. He's always calling us back to Him. 2 weeks from starting our own business, I get a call from a friend and mentor who was working in admissions at Spring Arbor College. He buys me lunch at Big Boy and tells me about a new campus job that he thinks I'd be good at. And God is on the move. 3 years of admissions work, and now we're building a home for ourselves in Spring Arbor. But God doesn't want us to live in that home. So we finish building it. We sell it without living one day there, and instead we move into Ormston Hall and start serving as resident directors. God doesn't always move like we think He should. 3 years later, the two that become one now become 3, and God gives us the first of 2 sons that bring us unfathomable love and joy to our lives every day, but somehow God loves them more than we ever could. We build another house in Spring Arbor, and this time we get to move in. 20 years after that lunch at Big Boy, and I'm amazed at the places that God has taken us as a result of our ministry at SAU. We've had a front row seat to see His love and grace become manifest to His children on our campus. And through their lives, His love is perpetuated in small towns and big cities, in schools and churches, in courtrooms and hospitals, here in the U.S. and around the globe. We serve an amazing God, and He's always on the move. He's always on the move, offering us His forgiveness and love and hope and peace to a world that desperately needs it. I love to tell the story, for those who know it best, seem hungry and thirsting to hear it like the rest. And when in scenes of glory I sing the new song, 'twill be the old story that I've loved so long.
Thank you, Bobby. Hopefully at Cougar Madness you won't have to say that. The next award goes to Terri Tchorzynski, recipient of the Young Leader Award. And this award honors an alumnus under 40 years of age who exemplifies Christian principles and is an outstanding leader in their profession and community. Terri graduated from our Battle Creek site with her master's in counseling in 2010. Since then, she's received many recognitions for her outstanding work as a school counselor. Most recently, she was honored as the National School Counselor of the Year for 2017. And with that being said, I think there's someone more fit to introduce Terri than I.
We wanted everyone to know about the difference that these phenomenal men and women have been making in the lives of our young people every day. And our 2017 School Counselor of the Year, Terri Tchorzynski, is a perfect example. As you heard, Terri works at the Calhoun Area Career Center, a career and technical education school in Michigan. And here's what Terri's principal said about her in his letter of recommendation. He said, once she identifies a systemic need, she works tirelessly to address it. So when students at Terri's school reported feeling unprepared to apply for higher education, Terri sprang into action to create a school-wide, top-to-bottom college readiness effort. Under Terri's leadership, more students than ever before attended workshops on resume writing, FAFSA completion. Yes, I can now say FAFSA. And interview preparation. I can barely say it. They did career and personality assessments. They helped plan a special college week, and they organized a military day, hosting recruiters from all branches of our armed forces. And because of these efforts today, 75% of Calhoun's seniors now complete key college application steps, and Terri's school has won state and national recognition. And all of this is just one small part of what Terri does for her students each day. I can go on and on about all the time she spends one-on-one with students, helping them figure out their life path. Terri told us, as you heard, she told us about one of those students, so we reached out to Kyra. And here's what Kyra had to say in her own words. Kyra wrote that Mrs. Tchorzynski has helped me grow to love myself. She helped me with my doubts and insecurities. She said, my life has changed for the better in all aspects. Kyra said she held my hand through my hardest times. She said, Mrs. Tchorzynski is my lifesaver.
Please join me in congratulating this year's Young Leader Award recipient, Terri Tchorzynski.
Obama was going to be here for a second. I got really excited. It's funny, I didn't know that video was going to show, but still to this day, that moment has not yet hit me that actually happened. So it's starting to become more and more real. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. As I'm thinking, I want to start off by thanking also the Spring Arbor Alumni Association, the board members, all of the administration and staff that have supported all of these awards and recognitions. So if we could just take a minute and give everybody who's been a part of this recognition a round of applause. I think we could. So leadership for me is a trait that I hold near and dear to my heart. So when I was notified that I was going to be the Young Leader recipient at Spring Arbor University, it was such an honor and something that I'm so proud to receive, because it's really one of those things, when you get honored and recognized for doing something that you truly love and enjoy, it just makes it that much better. So thank you so much for this honor and recognition of a young leader. I feel like I should be completely open, honest, and transparent with all of you today. When I first started my post-secondary planning, when I was in high school, I never had Spring Arbor on my list of potential schools. So, but it's one of those things where I truly believe that life takes us in a path that maybe even if it wasn't planned for, we're destined for. So for me, it was one of those things that when Spring Arbor became an option, when I wanted to pursue my degree in school counseling, it was the perfect fit for me. So even though it wasn't something that I was thinking I was to do, it was definitely something I was destined to do. And I'm so glad that I did, because I truly feel like as if Spring Arbor instilled a lot of leadership qualities in me that I may not have been able to embody or develop if I didn't attend Spring Arbor University. So I'm thankful for that. And when I reflect a little bit about the leadership traits that have been amplified by the time that I've been here at Spring Arbor, there are three that stick out in my mind that I hold true to my heart on a daily basis. The first one is I lead with head and heart. I truly feel as if, in regards to my education, I learned the knowledge and skills needed to be a professional school counselor, but at the same time I developed the compassion and caring that comes along with that makes me just as successful as the content-based stuff. So I definitely always lead with head and heart. The second one is leading with strength and integrity, especially during challenging times. Spring Arbor helped instill in me a confidence and a desire to serve all my students in a way that I can stand behind in regards to my own personal beliefs. And as a school counselor, sometimes we have to rely on that strength and integrity so we can do the right things for students. My last one is I lead in a way that provides a voice and meets the needs of all of my students, especially for my students who feel as if they don't always have a voice, or a voice that's not as heard as well as others. So Spring Arbor helped me in identifying how to seek out and meet the needs of all of my students, which is a practice that I use daily. And to be honest, when I think of the events such as that, and when I get recognized as my awards and recognitions of being a professional school counselor, I truly feel that that's where a lot of that comes from, because I try to meet the needs of all of our students. And I remember starting the counseling program at the Extended Learning Campus in Battle Creek. And I enjoyed what I was learning and I found it really interesting. But the true affirmation for me came when I was able to take the school counseling focus classes with Terri Pardee. And we just had a conversation back there about what my mentality was during the time that I was taking those classes. And whether or not she believes it, it was when I started to take those school counseling classes that my world opened up to me. It was almost as if that was my calling. That I was a teacher before that and I loved to teach. But getting exposed to school counseling and the potential that could lead to me in regards to helping students, that's when my whole world opened up. That was my aha moment that I realized that this is exactly where I needed to be so I can impact the lives of others. So when I think about that, when I think about my role as a school counselor, my goal is to help students discover that same exact revelation with their future career plans. I want my students to feel the passion that comes along with doing something that they absolutely love, just like I do as a school counselor. I want my students to feel the excitement that comes with knowing that they're absolutely destined and almost built for the future careers that they're pursuing. And I want my students to feel the satisfaction that comes from knowing that their contributions to the society will continue to benefit not only themselves, but the lives of others. And those are things that I embody in my own work, and I want to daily work with that in my students so that they can feel those rewards. So Spring Arbor allowed me to realize all of these groundbreaking aha moments, and my goal is to work tirelessly to honor these self-discoveries that have helped mold me as a professional. And more importantly, help guide my students towards these self-revelations as well. So I want the Alumni Association and all of you to know here today that in receiving this award, it's not just something that's going to be used as a resume builder, or it's not an award that's going to sit in my basement with other awards, but it's something that I'm going to use to help support young people. It's an affirmation for me that I'm doing the right work, and that I need to keep moving forward so that I can let my students realize the potential that they have and what they're about to become. So I thank you again for this award, but more importantly, I thank you for this affirmation that I'm doing the right work and influence and instill in others to keep building up their future leaders and our young trailblazers of today. So thank you so much.
Been fun to hear these stories. We've got two more to share. The next is our Professional Excellence Award. The Professional Excellence Award is given to recognize alumni who have made outstanding contributions to their profession and to their community, and done so in a manner and a way that also gives distinction to Spring Arbor University. This year's award goes to Hiie Silmere. Silmere. Yeah, Silmere. I worked on that all day. How about we go with Hiie, Dr. Hiie. Hiie has a passion for lifelong learning that is evident through her education and experiences. After working as a social worker in her native country, Estonia, she returned to the United States and completed her PhD in social work from Washington University. Hiie is currently serving as a social work faculty member at a sister institution, Roberts Wesleyan College in New York. We're proud of the way that Hiie represents Spring Arbor University, and we're honored to present her with this award. In the words of one of her friends who nominated her for the award, Hiie demonstrates perseverance. Perseverance through all seasons of life. She has a deep love for her family, and she's fully dedicated to her commitment to Jesus Christ. So would you please join me in congratulating our 2017 Professional Excellence Award honoree, Dr. Hiie.
Wow, this is overwhelming, and I'm truly honored and humbled to be here today. So we were asked to share the impact that SIU has had on our lives, or on my life, professionally, in 5 minutes or less. And I have to say that this is probably one of the most challenging tasks I had lately, because I could literally be be here for 5 hours or maybe even like 5 days, 5 weeks, but, to tell you about all the wonderful things. But fear not, I will try to do my best to share a few highlights in the next 5 minutes. So to give you just a little context, I grew up in a small country of Estonia that was part of the Soviet Union at the time when I was born. And living under the communist regime was not anything that you really cherish. It was quite restrictive, to say the least. So we could not go to church. We could not celebrate Christian holidays. No Christmas, no Easter. My family did a little bit, behind the hidden curtains, like we had Christmas trees, but you couldn't show anybody that you had a Christmas tree because you could get in trouble. So things started to change when Estonia regained its independence in 1991. And a few short years later, we had a group of American missionaries come to my little village, and Dottie and Wayne Miller, along with their son Andy, were part of that group. So I'm just so thrilled. It kind of comes to this full circle when I'm seeing these two wonderful people honored here today, because I wouldn't be here today without them and without the grace of God. And that really opened the door for me to come to Spring Harbor College at the time. So I came in 1995, and I still remember my first visit to the Spring Harbor campus, because it looked so huge to me. You see, I grew up in a tiny apartment of only 400 square feet with my mom and dad and my two siblings. I graduated from high school with 20 classmates, and my whole country had 1.3 million people, so yes, Spring Harbor was huge. So over time, I came to realize that Spring Harbor, in fact, the campus itself was quite small in its physical size, but the impact was humongous and has remained humongous in my life. Spring Harbor has nurtured me and challenged me spiritually, socially, mentally, both inside and outside the classroom. I truly cherish the liberal arts education, since I have always been interested in studying about different disciplines outside the confines of just one area of study. Now, having said that, Spring Harbor also gave me a really good, solid foundation in my two major areas of study, psychology and social work. And it opened up many doors for me later on as I got my master's and doctorate degrees from Washington University in St. Louis, and that's one of the top schools of social work in the world. And I have to say thank you to Jan Yeaman, Terri darling, who cannot be here today because he's like with the tennis players, and then Deborah Johnson, who's my social work professor, who couldn't be here today. But Jan and Deborah were actually the people who bought me the airline tickets, came along with me to go to St. Louis to check out grad schools, and I think that embodies what like Spring Harbor faculty are about, just so committed, and so thankful. So thank you. I would also say the core series is one of the gems of Spring Harbor University that does a beautiful job really embodying its concept. My Core 100 leader and my advisor, Kim Hayworth, we were her first core group. I really could not have done it without her. I mean, she was my support and my rock to lean on at the time when maybe I was feeling discouraged because I was in this environment, not like learning to study in English. And I could always lean on her and my Core 100 group. And I guess they could lean on me too when we went to Cedar Bend and we had to kill the chickens and dig out potatoes. Like that's what I was really skilled at. So I remember the guys went to like look for the potatoes and they came back and they're like, we can't find them. I was like, what, really? Like, so I went out there and it's like, we were well fed because I found the potatoes. Like, the Core 200 trip to Chicago was also life-changing for me because I had never been to a major metropolitan city. So Raj and Deb Barland were part of that, the leaders of that trip, and that absolutely changed my worldview. Many of my most memorable and impactful experiences at SAU really occurred outside the classroom. And I cherished the opportunities for spiritual development through chapels, spiritual life retreats, and visiting faculty and staff homes. I also loved working at the SAU library. That became a second home for me. And I gained a group of lifelong friends, so thank you for those of you who could come today. And I'm also very thankful for Roy Meter and Dave Burns, who nourished my intellectual curiosity. And also they took the time to give feedback on my papers, given that English is my second language, and taught me the nuances of the English grammar. And so now I have my colleagues come to me to proofread important documents. So Spring Arbor, job well done. And finally, describing my experience at Spring Arbor would be incomplete without addressing the amazing support networks that I had as an international student. This may seem like a little thing, but baking chocolate chip cookies and Christmas cookies at Carla Kunz's house was a totally amazing educational and bonding experience for international students. And I'm also so ever grateful for John and Audrey Barland. And I cannot put into words the impact that they had on me and that Audrey still has on me. They love international students, and they invited us to their home. They took us to different places in Michigan, and that really helped us to have that strong connection here outside the classroom. So thank you so much, Audrey. And last but not least, I'm so grateful for my American families, for Dottie and Wade Miller for bringing me here to the United States, and for Jim and Kathy Cole, with whom I have lived for years. I kind of came and stayed, and I keep coming back. And their 4 boys, my brothers, who have helped me through many ups and downs along the way. So thank you. I love you, both of you, all of you. So given the many life-changing experience I have had at Spring Arbor, perhaps it is no wonder that my past kind of led me back to academia. So as you heard, I'm now teaching since 2009 at Roberts Wesleyan College in Rochester, New York. And I challenged my students to be critical participants in the contemporary world by keeping Jesus Christ as the perspective for learning. So it's that full circle. And I wouldn't be where I am today without the education that I gained from Spring Arbor, the friendships that I developed here, and the wide range of experiences that this college, this university offered to me. So I will just say at the end that it is difficult always for me to accept compliments, to accept awards. And I had to remember what Kim Hayworth, my Core 100 leader, told me. Hiie, just say thank you. So that's what I'm just gonna say. Thank you so much for this honor.
Our final award this evening is the Alumna of the Year. The Alumna of the Year award is the most distinguished award bestowed upon graduates of Spring Arbor University. And the recipients are selected based upon their Christian service to humanity, their achievement within their chosen vocation, community service, or service to Spring Arbor University, and finally, the way their life exemplifies Christian principles and the Spring Arbor University concept. This year's award goes to Linda Adams. After feeling the Lord calling her to ministry at the age of 17, Linda walked faithfully into the work that he had in store for her. And that journey began at Spring Arbor College. After graduating in 1977, she served multiple churches in multiple states as pastor. She shared this morning in chapel with our students about the manner and way lifelong learning has continued to engage her and shape her life. And so for the past 9 years, Linda has served as Director of International Child Care Ministries, which sponsors more than 20,000 children in 33 countries around the world. Critical participation in a contemporary world. Her dedication to her work, her faithfulness to her Lord, her commitment to her family are what make her an outstanding candidate for this year's Alumna of the Year award. As one friend shared, This honor is not a surprise. It's an affirmation of Linda's service to God and her service to those whom God loves. And so would you please join me in congratulating the Reverend Dr. Linda Adams. Linda, please come forward.
For a moment. Wow, what a great cross-section of people. I just keep looking around and seeing, oh my goodness, I would like that 5 hours, 5 days, or 5 weeks to talk about stories of people in this room. Will you let me just do a shout out to the class of 77? Woohoo! All of you, there you are. All right, 40 years. Did you ever think we would see each other as 62-year-olds? Whoa, this is strange. I want to echo the words of thanks expressed by the other award winners. Thank you to all who have shared in recognizing us as alumni. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here and to be acknowledged as a member of this great Spring Arbor family. I'm using the word family almost literally. When I was born, Mom and Dad, Estella and Ken Beardsley, were residence directors in Hilliard House, a women's dorm. Several times in the past few years, as I've spoken in Free Methodist churches around Michigan, I've had women come up to me and tell me, when you were a fussy baby, I used to walk you down the hallway and shush you. And after the third one said that, I was starting to wonder, why was I such a fussy baby and where was my mother? But I'm only kidding, because I'm sure she and Dad did most of the hall walking with me. Memories of my childhood are filled with SAC faculty and their families. Like the time President McKenna was trying to catch some winks on the couch while Debbie and I played around him in the living room, and he got up off the couch, pulled out 2 dimes, and said, "I'll give you each a dime to go play at the Beardsleys." Faculty retreats were a highlight of our year, with endless hours of playing with other faculty family kids who were really like cousins to us, right? My rich memories include hilarious skits by Professor Darryl Moore, Shasta gas, Shasta oil, and all that, communion services with Uncle Dunk, and swimming after dark on a Sunday when we weren't supposed to, only to be joined by those rebels, the president and the academic dean. We were hiding under the pontoon raft, and then we said, why are we hiding? They're down here too. So we came out and just enjoyed a good swim. It was a great place to grow up. By the time I arrived as a student, I was a sophomore, having tested my wings by attending Seattle Pacific my freshman year. But ultimately, I'm as frugal as my father. So free tuition at Spring Arbor was an offer too good to refuse. I'm forever grateful for that choice. My college years provided breadth and depth to my faith and my worldview, and helped me to verify and clarify my sense of God's call into ministry. At the age of 17, God had surprised me with a call to serve him in the church. I wasn't sure what that would mean, having never met a female pastor. Yet it later dawned on me that the preacher who spoke the day I heard my call was missionary Alice Taylor. It surely had not been a coincidence that the time my ears perked up to recognize God's call, it had come in a feminine voice. Faculty in the Division of Religion and Philosophy were so affirming and helpful as I grappled with my reality. Dr. Bill Wingate, and Betty is here tonight, laid out the Wesleyan theology of women in ministry unambiguously. Dr. Ralph Thompson, that humble saint, drew me in close to the biblical text, modeling a loving reverence for the Word of God. Dr. Darryl Moore widened my intellectual horizons, exposing me to the vast expanse of philosophical thinking while mooring me, pun intended, to Jesus Christ as the perspective for learning. The beautiful thing is that the centrality of Christ was not only modeled in religion and philosophy classes, but throughout the entire campus community. The concept, as we all lovingly remember it, permeated life here. Whether on spiritual life retreat with Dr. Eldon Whiteman, or singing in concert choir under Dr. Glenn Ellis, or watching town and gown productions of Shakespeare or Tennessee Williams, or hearing lectures by the great Jewish author Chaim Potok, or taking a summer school course ever so tactfully named Math for the Non-Major from Dr. Garnet Hogger. We were immersed in the knowledge of our all-wise Creator, the God who made us and loves us and saves us. And we learned from every angle that all truth is God's truth. What a way to be launched into critical participation in the contemporary world. We were challenged to serve, weren't we? And for many years, we've served the Lord and humanity to the best of our ability, as the men and women of God who served us at Spring Arbor prepared us to do. They say that good parents give their children two gifts, roots and wings. I think that's true for a community of higher learning, too. I look around the room and see so many of you who were rooted here and then used your newfound wings to fly to faraway places to live out kingdom priorities. For 9 years now, I've had the indescribable joy of serving the children of the world through International Child Care Ministries. More than ever before, I'm seeing Jesus' great condescension in Philippians 2 as my path. He laid aside his divine prerogatives to humble himself as a servant. And while he walked among us, he called us most of all to serve the littlest, the least, the last, and the lost. I have the incomparable privilege of working alongside the Global Free Methodist Church as my sisters and brothers in 32 countries obey the call of Jesus to welcome children to himself, to feed and clothe them, to protect them and invest in their God-given potential to learn and develop in every way. By connecting caring sponsors, including many in the room here tonight, with children around the world, now over these 51 years, 52, we're coming up on 52 of the organization, we've given over 100,000 kids a hand up. As I travel around the world, it's a great pleasure to meet many of those children and their parents, caregivers, teachers, and pastors. I've also been thrilled to meet many adults who tell me they got their start in faith and education through ICCM. And now they serve the Lord as leaders in their homes, churches, communities, and even countries. To God be the glory. I want to thank my husband of 40 years, John Adams. Would you stand, John? He doesn't get up that often. You've got to see John. Thank you, John, for your undying support. I literally couldn't do it without you. I want to thank our amazing adult children, Nathan and Carrie, for being proud of their mom and staying connected with us across the miles. They're both still my pride and joy. Nate likes to call himself the first of 20,000. I want to thank my Lord. You know, it dawns on us that it's an amazing privilege to be called daughters and sons of the God who made us. That he calls us into partnership with him for his purposes in this world. Is there anything more amazing than that? And to know that he fills us with his Spirit so that we can commune with him and walk with him and be guided by him, it's a privilege. And I thank you, my wonderful Spring Arbor family, for giving me both roots and wings. May God bless you.
This evening, first I again just want to thank all of the award recipients and their families and all of you for being here this evening to celebrate what Spring Arbor University is about and just to stop and pause and appreciate what God's doing in and through people's lives. I want to remind you that it's actually homecoming weekend, so tomorrow, if at 9 a.m. you want to run off some of this food, then 5K starts at 9 a.m. and so you are all welcome. Ted Compton, are you going to be running it? Coach Comden, he's in. So he's going to be there. And then we'll actually dedicate the new track complex that's just about to be finished at the end of the 5K. But there's a lot of different events going on, so if you're in the area, we'd love to see you. If you filled out the flyer that's inside of your program, about other award recipients or prospective students for Spring Arbor, feel free just to leave that on the table. Quick reminder for the award recipients and families. Immediately following in the fireside room where the punch reception was, please just join in there really quickly so you can have your photo taken from this evening. And I want to stop again and just thank a few people that made this night happen. Thank you for the audio-visual team that was here putting all the pieces together, the marketing and communications team at Spring Arbor, the Student Alumni Council, student volunteers that have just done a lot of work to put these pieces together, the alumni board members that met and reviewed all the applicants and I think came to some fantastic decisions on alumni to represent this evening, so thank you to them, and the advancement staff volunteers who assisted with the banquet preparations. And then the main thank you goes to Becca Drake, who works in the alumni office. Becca, can you stand up? She's will hate this. If you ever put events together, you know that the person in the background is always the star that actually made it happen. They laid the table so that we can just celebrate and get together, so we greatly appreciate the work that she's doing. Once again, I want to thank Sue Chapel and the phenomenal staff here at the Cascades Manor House. Spring Arbor University is so honored by all of you that are here this evening, so thank you for taking part in this tonight. I'm going to end in prayer, and then you'll be dismissed. Let's pray. God, thank you for this time. Thank you for these people, and thank you for letting us join you in what you're doing in the world. It's an honor and a privilege, and something that should continually surprise us, that you would see us fit to partner in the things that you're doing to redeem the world and to speak into people's lives. Pray that you just continue to encourage us in the work that we do. Just let us embody what it means to love others well. I pray for safety as we return home this evening, that you would just allow us to drive safe. And just thank you again for all you do. I pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.